My name is Joseph McDaniel, and I'm an Arizona bankruptcy attorney. And since 2005, I also got to tell you that I'm a debt relief agency and I help people and businesses file for bankruptcy. Today's topic is deer in the headlights syndrome prior to filing bankruptcy. The mere idea of filing a bankruptcy under either Chapter 7, Chapter 13, Chapter 11, or Chapter 12 scares most people blue. Most don't worry about a Chapter 9 or 12 because they know they don't qualify. But the first thing that most people say when they meet with me or with any bankruptcy lawyer initially is, I really don't want to do this. I always point out that the same people who file a bankruptcy for fun are the ones who line up at their dentist for a recreational root canal. Nobody wants to file a bankruptcy. Virtually everybody sees bankruptcy as some kind of failure, and in many ways it is at least an admission of failure. On the other hand, you need to admit that what you're doing now isn't working before you can move on to something else and succeed. When I started my practice after working a couple of years for Chief Bankruptcy Judge Caldwell and Bankruptcy Judge Maggiore, lawyer advertising had just become ethical because of the Supreme Court decision in the Bates versus State Bar of Arizona case. So I walked out and took a half-page ad in the Yellow Pages, and I was the first bankruptcy lawyer in Arizona to have such an ad. I coined the slogan, not a failure, but a fresh start, back in 1982 or thereabouts. And a lot of people dropped in to talk about it. A lot has changed since then, but one thing has not. Decent folks don't ever want to file a bankruptcy any more than a kid with pneumonia wants a shot of penicillin. But in exactly the same way that when a kid with pneumonia needs penicillin, there are times when a decent person has to say, yep, I have a broken bench and I need penicillin. I mean, a bankruptcy. Nobody ever wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be a bankrupt today. For one thing, the technically correct term since the new code of October 1st, 1979 is debtor, not bankrupt. The legislative history to the new code, which is now the really old and frequently patched up code, explains that Congress changed the word from bankrupt to debtor to reduce the stigma that came with filing. Congress really should have chosen almost any other word at all but debtor. Wingnut, rutabaga, or Sasquatch would have been better choices. The word debtor shows up all through the law of secured transactions and banking law, where it can mean very different things than bankrupt, which had the advantage of precision. You knew exactly what it meant. Which is surprising because the word bankruptcy itself comes from the phrase broken bench, because when a lender or money changer in Venice in the Middle Ages, who sat in the public square at bancas, or benches, couldn't meet his financial obligations, his creditors broke his banca, broken bench, banca rupta, bankrupt. I always liked that story. But I would like it even better if potential debtors were less frightened. That fear tends to make them wait too long to get help, so they may get a suboptimal result. The classic, and one of the most horrible cases, is an individual with overwhelming credit card debt who gets a big debt consolidation loan, which is structured so that it becomes a mortgage on the otherwise exempt homestead. And then, if the debtor can't pay the mortgage, the debtor loses the house. In retrospect, it's a bad decision. Or the poor devil who scrapes up every nickel he can find to settle $1 million business debt for $100,000. And he doesn't get with his CPA, so he doesn't know that he just generated a non-taxable tax debt, a non-dischargeable tax debt of a few $100,000. That is, he traded a dischargeable debt for a non-dischargeable debt, which runs at a massive interest and penalty rate. Oh well. I've heard it said that good decisions are based on experience, which is based on bad decisions. Nothing in the foregoing is intended to be or may be used as legal advice. If you're drowning in debt, for heaven's sake, go find a Martindale-Hubbell AV-rated board-certified bankruptcy lawyer or attorney or specialist. At least he or she will have seen your problem before and may even have a guess how to fix it, like maybe with penicillin. Thank you very much.